G'day legends, I hope you're all awesome. It is time for another installment of Friday Q&A, the very first Q&A for 2023. I hope you all had a fantastic festive season, and I'm looking forward to getting into some of your questions. As always, to everybody who submitted a question for this week's video, thank you very much. I'm going to try to get to a bunch of them. There actually wasn't a whole lot. The last one I think was mostly people just talking about their new year and wishing everybody else a happy new year and Christmas, which I am very grateful for. So I'm going to get to a few select questions here. If you've got a question you would like me to answer on next week's video, put it in the comment section below. And a little teaser for anybody in Melbourne. If you're thinking about going to the Melbourne Guitar Show or you're around that weekend, currently planning some ragdoll shows around there, and I will be at the guitar show for the whole weekend. I'll be doing a workshop. More details to come though. Very excited about that. I think that one is at the start of March. But for now, let's do some of these questions. This question popped up on my stuff to think about video, which I put out at the start of the year, where the stuff to think about was mostly enjoying guitar. I also saw John Cordy posted a video which was like, try to enjoy guitar more in 2023, which I totally agree about. That was a nice little coincidence. We are clearly on similar wavelengths right there. But basically it kind of came down to, how do you get over constantly comparing yourself artistically to your favorite artists? You know, you're writing a song and you're halfway through it and you listen to it and you go, this will never be as good as my favorite Rush song or my favorite Dream Theater song. What's the point in finishing it? I did answer this question in the comment section there, but talking about artistry was something that I totally neglected in that stuff to think about video. It is something that's very important to me. It's important to a lot of other people out there, but I should talk about that separately because I think you have the artistic element of it and the kind of songcraft element of it when it comes to creating music in the format that is pretty popular for rock, metal, and everything else we enjoy, which is like the semi-traditional song structure that you hear in, let's say, Western popular music. So I think getting good at finishing songs is a very important skill. It's like that 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration kind of thing. If you get an idea that really excites you, you've got to have the skills to finish it. And everything that you finish, whether it's something that you really like or it's something that maybe you consider is a piece of crap, just finish it. And it is one more song that you've finished. You have taught yourself how to get better at finishing songs. You can experiment with all the things that go into songcraft, like different meters or structures or arrangements, all those kind of things that can really spice up an idea. But I always feel like you want to try to capture the essence of that original idea, you know, trying to capture lightning in a bottle, so to speak. And you want the finished product to just kind of represent what initially made you excited about that initial idea. You know, the initial idea, the way you heard it the first time when it popped out of your fingers, that's gone. That's never coming back. But I think you can represent everything that made you feel in a finished song. So when it comes to trying to compare yourself artistically to your favorite artists, you never get to hear the crap songs that they wrote and finish because they don't release them. You know, a really mainstream popular band might have 60, 70 songs that they have to choose from, and then they release 10 on an album. So you don't hear the bulk of the stuff, which probably isn't quite as inspiring as the stuff that makes the cut. So, you know, it's all about trying to finish as much stuff as you can and then kind of cutting the cream off the top, in my opinion. If I could design a signature pedal, what would it be and who would make it? Something that I would absolutely love, and it wouldn't really be a signature pedal, it would just be basically the rig that I'm using live slimmed down. It would be like a Fractal FM0. So take an FM3 or an FM9 and just remove the foot switcher. So you could have this kind of chunk with, you know, maybe the FAS link connector, a USB connection, all the usual ins and outs, but you could pair it with any MIDI controller you like. The reason that would be very handy to me is it would easily fit in my guitar case or in a bag. And, you know, if I went and did a fly gig, I could just get like a 3-button MIDI controller, hook it up to that, and then, you know, just use my 4 scenes that I use live. Or if I want to put it on top of my rack and use it as like the brain for my rack with a big MIDI switcher and do all sorts of fun things like that, I think that would be pretty cool. I think that would be a pretty popular form factor. Or if you had an FM3 or an FM9 and you wanted to add processing power to it, something like that would be awesome. And that's not my original idea. I definitely stole that after reading some discussion on a few forums online where people were suggesting the FM0, and I was like, I would be all about that. So that would be one thing. Maybe something like a TC2290 in a pedal. I think that would be pretty rad. These are just products that I would like to see. They're less about signature things, but maybe a signature thing for me would be some kind of pedal that gets you a Boogie Mark series tone in a box, has cabinet IR loading, and then has the ability to have a delay or something like that in there. Preferably the ability to go stereo, but that's my like bare minimum for getting through a gig. Like just the ultimate backup fly rig, basically. I don't need too much because the Fractal stuff covers me live and in the studio, and it's kind of everything I ever wanted and more. So maybe it seems a little bit redundant there, or maybe it's a pedal that when you step on it, it just says, "G'day legends," and it gives you some like positive, inspiring advice about your life. You know, kind of like the fart pedal, but less funny and probably equally as useless. But yeah, that would be, I don't know, what I would look for in a signature pedal, I guess. What about you? What would you expect from a Leon Todd signature pedal? Let me know in the comments. Well, we're talking about that. I may as well talk about like a signature guitar. I have discussed this in the past. I think it would basically just be my PRS SC245, maybe with a matte finish. That's about it, because I sweat all over that guitar, and I see when I'm using it on the channel, it often catches a lot of glare because I am a sweaty, greasy man, and matte finishes are kind of nice, but that guitar is pretty close to perfect for me. It's sort of like is the guitar that I found my voice on, especially when it came to the ragdoll stuff. So maybe that, or maybe like the same kind of vibe as that guitar, but on an Explorer or a V shape. I know Mark Tremonti has that weird kind of pointy PRS thing that never made it into production. So yeah, maybe it would look like that. Or it would be totally crazy and Steve Vai Hydra, like where it would be a fretless neck and then a standard neck, and there would be part of like the choral sitar style thing that I've got on there. There'd be a GK pickup or one of the Psych-Fi Nexus pickups built into it. Something crazy like that. But I would never use that either, so that wouldn't really be signature, would it? Maybe that's part of the point with signature gear. I'm just spitballing here. Or actually, it would be my PRS SC245 with the switching and coil tap abilities that the DGT has. I like that. I've been getting this question a lot since the Eventide H90 came out. Can I compare the H90 and the Eclipse? I've been thinking about how I would do a video like that, and I have absolutely no idea how to best represent it. So I'm going to throw it out to everybody. Like, what should I compare? Should I just compare the micro pitch settings? Should I compare the internal routing, the quality of the algorithms, anything like that? Let me know in the comments. But kind of different animals to me, because the Eclipse, it's not really a guitar specific processor. It definitely lives in that pro audio section in there, and you can do crazy stuff with it. You can get in and edit the delays in the reverb network. There are some algorithms in there like the manifold alpha and beta algorithms that I don't even know what they're doing, but they're incredible for sound on sound time shifting stuff. The reverbs in the Eclipse sound lush and amazing. The pitch stuff is incredible. It's just a beautiful sounding machine. Whereas the H90, I think, is also a beautiful sounding machine, but it has a bunch of polyphonic pitch stuff in it. It's got a bunch of guitar-specific algorithms like pitch fuzz. There's an algorithm in there called Sculpt that I really like. Some of the new algos are great. It has the SP2016 algorithms from their reverb plugins, and it's designed to work with a pedal board. That's the main thing. Like, the form factors are so different that it makes the user experience so different. And when the UI is that different, I think it plays into the way you dial in different sounds. So look, I'm happy to do that video at some point. I just would love some direction because there's so many different points that I could touch on. I do want to cater it to what people want to hear. So let me know. Gear that I regret selling. Well, last year I did a video with the Crowther Hotcake, which I owned. Recorded one of my favorite guitar solos that I've ever recorded, the guitar solo on the Ragdoll song Self-Censored. Love the sound on that particular song. Ended up selling the pedal for some reason, and then regretted it big time, and ended up buying one from one of my viewers, which was super awesome. They saw that I mentioned that in another Q&A. I've got their Hotcake here now, and I love the way that sounds. And in fact, Fractal added it as a drive type, and I love the way it sounds in there as well. So that was one gear regret that I remedied. I did a video with Fender lace sensor pickups this week as well, and a lot of people mentioned that they had the Fender Jeff Beck Strat with those pickups in there, and probably one of my biggest gear regrets, I never owned this guitar, but I did borrow a custom shop Jeff Beck Strat from a friend of mine, and I recorded a bunch with that. If you go and listen to the Ragdoll All I Want EP, that Strat is all over that record. It's one of the main guitar tracks on the song Break You, which people on the channel always like when I play that. So part of that sound was the Jeff Beck Strat. I think it was the Jeff Beck Strat with a Jet City 50 head doubled or quad tracked with a Les Paul into a DSL, or the other way around, something like that. But amazing guitar. And they ended up selling the guitar. I had it here with me, and they were like, look, they'd moved into state, and they were like, look, I want to sell that guitar. I want this much for it. And I really regret not buying that guitar and kind of keeping it in the family, so to speak. It was an amazing Strat. Just love the way it sounded, love the way it felt. I wasn't super into Strats at the time, and now I kind of wish I had that guitar because I'm all about the Strat action. As you all know, I mean, I've got an amazing 1977 Strat here, which is awesome, but that Jeff Beck Strat just kind of spoke to me in a particular way. And I'm a massive Jeff Beck fan as well. So yeah, that's another one. And I'm trying to think, surely there are other gear ragrets out there. Some weird stuff that I might have sold. I think they're the kind of the main two ones. Like I got the Hotcake back, and I'm sure at some point I'll try and buy a Jeff Beck Strat. Somebody loaned me their PRS DGT as well, and you know, again, it's not a gear regret because I never owned it and they're not selling it, but if they ever do sell it, I think I'm going to learn the lesson from that Jeff Beck Strat and jump on that one because, oh, that was a glorious guitar. One last one for this week. A few people were asking about cats, and you're probably all well aware that there's always been cats featured on this YouTube channel, and some of you may have known that I featured our old cat Skanky Boy in a lot of the videos, and he passed away at the start of 2021. We also had Skanky Boy's daughter, Tibby, and she passed away in August last year, and we recently adopted not one, but two new cats, and one of them's snoring on the couch behind me, Lupin and Nagini. He's a Maine Coon mix, and she is a very fluffy tabby, so I don't really want to disturb them at the moment, but you know, put a picture on the screen for you all. So yeah, I love cats. Find it hard to live without them, to be honest. And these two weren't abandoned. They were surrendered. The previous owner wasn't able to keep the cats. I think either they were moving into state or they moved into a place where they weren't allowed to keep the cats. And as I understand, they were pretty heartbroken. So they were a bonded pair and preferably not to be separated. So we chose to adopt both of them, and they're 4 and 2. And, you know, like everybody out there who has fluffy friends, you know, they're impossible to live without for me. I love cats, I love animals, so feel free to tell me about your best furry friend in the comment as well. Have a great week, and I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching.